Welcome, beautiful people of all ages, shapes, and colors, to the final episode of 2023 of the Hit Your Free Throws NBA podcast, where we encourage you to stick to the basics. I'm one of your co-hosts, TV, aka TV on Basketball, alongside my co-host, Jay, aka the Knockdown Jay. How's it going, my guy?
It's going good, man. We're coming off of a strong Christmas, great set of games on Christmas Day, and now we're going to close out the year strong with an even better episode heading into the new year. I'm hyped.
Yeah, this is the final episode of 2023 for the Hit Your Free Throws podcast. It's been a bit of a wild ride. We've started this episode, I think, the trade deadline of last season or something like that. And now
it's been a minute.
It's been a minute, 45 episodes later, and we have completed 2023. It's been an awesome ride. But yeah, we're going to close it out for you in style here. We're going to talk about the Pistons. Don't worry about it. We got that on lockdown. We're going to have some end of year recap stuff for the NBA. We're going to have an awesome draft for you guys, a new concept as well. And of course, we're going to finish off with a quiz. So it's going to be a good episode. You guys are in for a treat. But before we get into it, we do have to plug our socials. Remember to follow our personal accounts at TV on Basketball, at knockdownj/Jumper for J over there. Those can be found in the descriptions down below. In terms of the Hit Your Free Throws pod, follow us for the best daily make content on TikTok and Instagram. You got the pics on our channels, of course. You got the clips over there to Hit Your Free Throws page, and then you got some post-game reacts. You got the stuff with the John Morant, the Pistons losing 27 straight games. You're gonna have all that content over there on the Hit Your Free Throws page. If you're watching on YouTube, remember to like, share, and subscribe, and hit the notification bell. And if you're listening to our podcast on any of the streaming platforms, Spotify, or Apple, show your support in any way possible. Subscribe, leave a review, all that good stuff. We appreciate all of your guys' support. Jay, are you ready to get into some end of year recap in 23? Are you ready for the final episode of 2023?
Yeah, man. 2023 was a strong year for basketball, so I'm really hyped to get into these because there's a lot to get into. Like I said, really strong year for the game, really strong year for the NBA.
Yeah, and what's crazy is that we might have had the biggest headline of 2023 just happened yesterday, because the Detroit Pistons have beaten the single season NBA losing streak record by losing their 27th straight game against the Brooklyn Nets last night. Now, for context, I did do a post-game react to this, but I'm telling you right now, if you've watched that game, if you watched the highlights, the Nets were trying to give this game to the Pistons. I don't know what to tell you guys. I don't know what to say. They were literally trying to hand this game to the Pistons, and the Pistons didn't want it. They were throwing the ball out of bounds. Cade dribbled the ball off his foot. They just pissing their way into another L. Jay, is this gonna end? Where is this gonna end? What are your thoughts on this whole thing? This has been a huge mess of a season for the Pistons.
Man, so I came into this recording trying to figure out the answer to that question. When could the streak end, right? Realistically. And I went down the list and I'm like, well, they play the Celtics tomorrow. That doesn't look good. They play your Raptors on Saturday, the 30th. I mean, Raps have been struggling outside of Scotty Barnes, but could the Pistons really win in a battle of former Montverde teammates between Cade Cunningham and Scotty Barnes? Maybe. Then they play the Rockets on New Year's Day. Rockets are, Dylan Brooks has been in and out of the lineup. They've been pretty okay, been pretty strong. Don't sleep on Alperen Sengun, who's ironically better than all four centers on the Pistons combined. They got another crack at the Jazz on January 3rd. I think that's where they get it. But they had two cracks at the Nets and didn't get either. So they had their crack. They had their crack at the Jazz earlier this week, and Kelly Olynyk looked like he needed to be in the All-Star game. Like, it's not looking good for Detroit, man. Free Cade Cunningham. That boy seems like the only one outside of maybe him and Asar Thompson that seem like they're playing with any kind of real effort right now. And it's showing in the win-loss column, man, and not so much in the winning column.
Can you imagine? They were 2-1 to start the year. This team was 2-1 to start the year. That's absolutely crazy. If you want to see real pain, if you want to see real tears, go to shout out to my boy Kofi on TikTok. This man has documented like his feelings after every loss. It's pain. It's an absolute pain for Pistons fans right now. But
TV, can I ask you a question real quick though about this
yeah,
Pistons run? This is the thing that really gets to me. This is a very conflicting thought that I've been like kind of going over with over the last 2 to 3 games in particular, right?
yeah.
If you're Joe Harris, how do you feel as Joe Harris right now? Now, for context, for anybody who's like, Joe Harris, what does that have to do with anything? Joe Harris is a member of the Detroit Pistons that, despite arguably probably being their best 3-point shooter statistically, right? Like,
Yeah.
in terms of just overall career statistics, he's probably their best overall 3-point shooter.
It's either him or Boyan. It's one of the two.
Right. For a team that has absolutely no spacing. How do you feel as Joe Harris to not get any playing time on this team, as bad as they are, but also view it from the perspective of, do you really want to be in the game with them being this bad? Like, TV, the question for a guy like Joe Harris is the question that many people joke about on TikTok. Would you like to be the guy who comes off the bench and puts up numbers for a team that's horrible? Or would you rather, I guess, stay on the bench and just be an innocent bystander as you watch the worst team in the NBA play to their demise? Like, TV, which situation seems better? Does Joe Harris's trade stock go up better by not being a part of this foolishness?
I think with Joe Harris, to answer the Joe Harris question, his role is kind of solidified in the NBA already. No matter what he does, because the Pistons team is ass, man. It doesn't matter. I think like no matter who, if there is a trade candidate for Joe Harris, they're gonna trade him for what he was last year and for his whole career. No matter what he does in the Pistons, it's not gonna hurt him whatsoever. But man, 27 straight losses. 27 straight losses. This doesn't feel real, man. And if you like watch these games, it's hard to tell, especially with an NBA team, who was the worst team in the league. There's very select few teams that have showcased this. Me and Jay talked about this before the show. The 2013-2014 76ers, the team that drafted Joel Embiid following that horrendous season. You have the 2010-2011 Cavs, who lost 26 games after losing LeBron James, and that was the year they were taking for Kyrie. The Pistons have been in a 4-year rebuild. And the fact that they had the worst record last year at 17 wins without Cade Cunningham, and then they look worse Troy Weaver said before the season they're trying to compete for a play-in spot. What is going
That's where they messed up first. That's where everything spiraled out of control. Is coming out of the offseason saying we're looking towards the postseason. For what? For how? Like, what gives you the indication outside of Cade Cunningham coming back healthy and Boyan probably playing a little bit more significantly this year? What indicated that was going to be the case? Like, to me, this is the reality. If Troy Weaver makes it to the summer, the Detroit Pistons as an organization is delusional. It's factual by itself.
Okay. Here's the thing with when I look at this team. I mean, yes, they've made mistakes. Trading for Marvin Bagley, trading for James Wiseman, that was no bueno there. That was not the right moves at all. But when you really just look at this team little by little, it's hard to believe that this is a 2-28 team. It is hard to believe.
TV? Is it?
It is. It is. You got Boyan. Yes, you're kind of saying, you're relying on Cade, but what else were you betting on? That Jalen Duren takes the next step because he showed some promise last year. You were hoping that Jaden Ivey was going to take that next step. You're not expecting Monty Williams to pull out 16 starting lineups to start out the year, basically having Jaden Ivey in his doghouse for a good chunk of that because he refused to give this guy minutes. Having these no cohesion, no offensive spacing around Cade Cunningham. It's a lot of just poor decision making whatsoever. I talked about this before the episode. Why is Killian Hayes still getting minutes? Starting minutes on this basketball team. They say he plays defense. Sure. You don't need defense on this team. Where's the offense? Where is the spacing around Cade Cunningham? Why did Asar Thompson play 8 minutes last night in a game versus the Brooklyn Nets. Why did he only play 8 minutes? Monty Williams, I know he was the coach of those Phoenix Suns teams that went to the finals, that won 60-plus games. But what he's doing with this team is absolutely mind-boggling to me. And it's not all on him. It's, of course, the talent on the roster. This group of guys just don't work together. But this whole Detroit Pistons system, since 2008, they haven't made a playoff series. It's just dysfunctional from top to bottom. I don't know how to explain it. And now it's just like, I can't believe that we haven't hit rock bottom yet, even though the amount of bad years that the Pistons have had. But we've had rock bottom. We've hit it.
No, I mean, I think it's actually a way more understandable situation than it comes off as. Troy Weaver has positioned this Detroit Pistons team to be running basically on a hamster wheel. If you look just at the way that he's drafted or acquired players over the last couple of seasons, he has an affinity. He brought, once upon a time, when he was a member of the Oklahoma City Thunder TV, we all know the stereotype. What was the Oklahoma City Thunder draft board stereotype, right? It was athletic wing or athletic individual with high upside on that side of playing basketball. Basically, that he has kept that same philosophy and brought it over to Detroit and somehow stuffed it all into one position, right? We're talking about that. If you look at the salary cap sheet right now, their highest paid per year player is Marvin Bagley, the same player who had to fight with James Wiseman for who's going to get more minutes coming into the season. That's the camp battle everybody was watching. Is Marvin Bagley versus James Wiseman. Cade Cunningham is coming off of an incomplete season in year 2, right? Yeah. Jaden Ivey is coming off of a promising rookie season, but obviously Monty Williams saw something that he did not like from Jaden Ivey. And beyond Troy Weaver, Troy Weaver, this is the real issue. Monty Williams has somehow conducted highway robbery in a way that I didn't even know was possible. Literally in a way that I didn't even know was humanly possible. This man came off of walking away from the Phoenix Suns for what seemed like kind of like mental health based issues, individual deprive. It seemed like it was one of those positions he was taking of stepping away from the game of basketball. And then someone threw him the bag. 6 years, mad money to the point that he's making $33 million a year. For those who don't know, Monty Williams would be the 3rd highest paid player on the Detroit Pistons if he were to suit up. And I'm not going to lie to you, at this point, anybody with a pulse might need to suit up for the Detroit Pistons at this rate. I think the combination of an incompetent front office led by Troy Weaver, paired with the fact that I don't think Monty Williams' head is truly in it. I think he was just offered an exorbitant amount of money that was undeniable. You compare those two things and you have a dysfunctional situation. Now you double down on that by saying Monty Williams has 6 years? Man, I would coast through it and just do whatever too at that rate. You have 6 years, which gives you at least 3 years of flexibility because before they start looking at you and saying, we need to do something different, right? Like, yeah, I would just throw anything out there and see what sticks and be terrible too if I knew I didn't have to do anything and I got $33 million guaranteed. There's a lot that's just wrong with the Detroit Pistons, and it's more infrastructure based than I think it even has to do with the floor, even though the stuff on the floor looks horrendous as well.
It's horrible. It's horrible. And what's the worst part of knowing the Pistons' luck? They're going to go through this entire season. There's a good chance they might hit 30 losses in a row. There's a good chance that might happen. And they're probably going to finish with the 4th pick. This is what's gonna.
Wow, yeah, that's the part that makes it worse because with the draft odds, they're not even guaranteed the number 1 overall pick for being this bad. They're just being this bad for fun at this point.
It's so tough. There were conversations. I know we had conversations before the season. Who's the worst team? The Wizards, the Pistons, the Spurs. We've had some really bad teams, but 27 straight losses is, especially at this early point in the season, is like tough. So tough. So yeah, Pistons fans, are you okay? Check up on your local Piston fan. Check up on them. Hopefully their mental is right. But to answer my initial question too, where do I think this is gonna end? I said it in my TikTok. It's gonna end versus the Raptors. I promise you.
Bruh.
I promise you. There is so much pressure to beat this team because you don't want to be the first team to lose to them.
Yeah,
You don't
really.
want to be the first team. There's so much pressure. Even the Boston Celtics. You look at this game and think, yo, the Celtics should absolutely destroy them. Have you seen the Celtics this year? They play up to their competition against the
Yeah.
best teams in the league. They'll probably like sweep them. They face the Pistons. Don't be scared if there's a loss. The Pistons might beat the Celtics tonight. There's so much pressure to trying to not be the one W since November 1st. There
Yeah.
is like
And it
you don't
doesn't
want to.
help that the Kendrick Perkins curse might be kicking in because apparently he had said something like there's no way in hell that Detroit beats the Boston Celtics. And I'm not going to lie, Perk, that sounds like a recipe for them to end up winning this game for no apparent reason. And I mean, yeah, it ends the streak, but the context behind it is still just like
Yeah,
mind-boggling.
yeah. This might be like more pressure than Game 7 of the NBA Finals. You just don't want to lose to the Detroit Pistons. You just don't want to. A quick question before we move on to the next topic: what is more impressive, if the Pistons lose 30 straight or the 73-9 Warriors? I honestly like.
Wow, that's a brutal question. I think it's still 73-9, obviously, but
Yeah.
man, it is an impressive feat to lose 30 times in a row. It is an impressive feat to have zero wins over the last 2 months, and then watch John Morant come up off the couch and win 4 games in a row. That's kind of brutal.
Yeah. We are reaching the point with the Pistons where we're almost going intersport. The largest like American sports losing streak is 29 games, and that was some like hockey team in the 90s. Pistons, you are reaching that soon. We don't want to talk intersport. We're already talking about NBA. We don't want to go intersport with this losing streak. Let's see what happens. But man, this is tough for the Pistons. This is really, really tough. Okay, we have to get that off our chest. I don't think we've talked about how bad this losing streak has been enough. So there you go. That was our take on it. But we do have to think positive now because we are recapping 2023. This is what we're gonna call TV&J's NBA 2023 year in review. And you know how you had those yearbooks at the end of like each year where you get to see, most likely to, highest honors and all that stuff. We're gonna do that with NBA in 2023. We have some prompts here, and we're gonna try and answer these questions like as best we can to recap 2023 and just talk about who were the biggest standouts, games, teams, players, all that good stuff. So Jay, first prompt over here. Who is your 2023 breakout player of the year? This is the player that wasn't really talked about much pre this year, but really put themselves on the map. Really like stamped their name in the NBA this year. Who do you have?
I think the guy that I have to go with is Lauri Markkanen. That's my dog. So
Okay.
obviously I'm a little bit biased. But 2023 was a big year overall for Lauri Markkanen, taking that next step between showing what he was able to do with the Cleveland Cavaliers, right? Being able to flex between the 3-4, sometimes play small ball 5 for them, and then transition into becoming an all-star caliber player with the Utah Jazz, which was something that was really important for his development as a guy that can really swing a team sometime within the next year or two. If most people have been paying attention to the trade talks that have been building up over the last week or two, Lauri Markkanen to the Oklahoma City Thunder has been a real fan favorite as of late. And I'm super intrigued by the idea of it because I think that the Oklahoma City Thunder can definitely throw the picks and assets at it. Now, Lauri Markkanen is due for a contract re-up in about 2 years, which is about around the same time that a lot of the OKC guys that are already on the roster are going to be looking for some paydays too. So it's going to be intriguing to see if that's something that they actually go and pursue. But nonetheless, Lauri Markkanen went from being just a guy that we thought was going to be ruined by the Jim Boylan era of Chicago Bulls basketball. And instead, he was able to flip the narrative, step away from the Chicago Bulls, make something of himself, and has really grown into one of the better big men in the league. And it's meant a lot, not just for Utah basketball, but I think it's meant a lot for his individual career because that was a guy He's beating the bust accusations right now. Like, that's what it was. Like, to me, that's what it is. I think Lauri Markkanen was a guy that came in with like Kristaps Porzingis-esque comparisons, but with the similar upside without the injury concerns. And we never got to see flashes of that until about 2023. And he has really made the most of it. And he has turned into like a real like hybrid archetype that people are looking for now in the NBA.
Oh yeah, 100%. First All-Star game appearance, All-Star game starter, mind you, for
Yeah.
Lauri Markkanen this past 2022-2023 season, averaging just in these last two seasons alone, like basically 25 points per game, eight and a half rebounds, 2 assists. This guy has been like one of the like top scorers, like especially from that like big man position in terms of being able to score in all three levels, in the mid range, in the inside, showing some sneaky athleticism too. By the way, he's showing like that he has a little bit of that as well. He's becoming a really reliable scorer, and he has gone like you mentioned, he has played himself up to a point where we're talking about the Thunder throwing the farm of picks that they have and using a lot of that capital to get Lauri Markkanen, who feels like the perfect fit to be on that team.
Mm-hmm.
So he played himself up to that point. He might, if he ends up on the Thunder before the trade deadline, and then he continues his good play, he might end up being a 2-time All-Star this year as well. But he's been really, really good, and I'm glad to see that, especially like you mentioned, the Jim Boylan Bulls. Some people say that that really ruined his potential. You saw glimpses of it in Cleveland in that three big men lineup. But now with the Utah Jazz, with Will Hardy giving him the keys, he's been able to showcase why he was such a highly touted prospect and why his 3-level scoring was like one of the biggest talking points of him coming into the league, and he's finally showing it this season. So yeah, shout out to Lauri Markkanen here. For my breakout player of 2023, I'm sticking European as well. You going Finnish, I'm going to Turkey, man. Let's go to Alperen Şengün. And This is like a case that he made, especially like towards the end of the year, probably from like November onwards. But bro, this guy's getting like baby Jokic comparisons. This is like someone who the Houston Rockets can potentially run their offense through for the next 5 to 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
It's scary good how this guy could be. He is actually a pretty solid defender as well. He can pass the ball. He's like he is like a threat for a triple double every single night, averaging 21 points per game, almost 10 rebounds, 53% from the field, 71% from the free throw line. He's a really damn good basketball player, and I'm glad that Ime Udoka is giving him like the proper role on this team where he could be the number one guy. He could be the fulcrum point of this offense, operating from the top of the key, and letting guys like Fred VanVleet and Jalen Green, Dylan Brooks play off him. Let him be the one to set them up. Really like the way that they're playing right now. Yes, Fred VanVleet is still doing most of the playmaking responsibilities, but they're giving Şengün, who I think, like I've been saying, I'm not sure if just this podcast, but for like the last couple of years now, that Şengün has a better chance to be the best player on this team than Jalen Green does. I'm glad they're finally showing it this year.
Yeah, Alperen Şengün has been huge because of the fact that with Jalen Green having somewhat of a stunted growth pattern over the first couple of seasons with the Rockets, Alperen Şengün being a bright spot is not only big for his own individual development, but it gives them a real direction to build on. The Houston Rockets, they don't have a lot of control over their drafts moving forward. That's one of the biggest reasons why they had to be so active in the offseason this year, picking up Fred VanVleet, picking up Dylan Brooks. Remember, they were going after Brook Lopez once upon a time. They saved themselves from themselves. Because if you really think about it, them not getting Brook Lopez might have actually been a blessing in disguise, because this year, being able to see the unlocked, the unleashed version of Alperen Şengün, it's really changed the dynamic of their team. He's already being compared to Jokic, as you mentioned before, in a very slight way, but there's other people that are aggressively saying he might already be better than a guy who also is similar to him in Domantas Sabonis. That's huge honors. We're talking about a guy who's a multi-time All-Star, and Domantas, who is a real floor raiser, right? When he's with Indiana, they're constantly a top 5 seed in the Eastern Conference. Comes over to the Sacramento Kings in his first full season with the Kings, is able to help them rise to being one of the best offenses in NBA history. And now we're talking about a guy like Alperen Şengün on both sides of the floor already, maybe arguably being a better player than Sabonis right now. I mean, looking back at that draft class, he might arguably be like the steal of the draft. And that feels crazy to say when you look at how insane that draft class was, top to bottom. But when you really think about it, Alperen Sengun being picked where he was, which was like what, late lottery,
Yeah.
pretty insane to think about when you look at the circumstances. The fact that they were able to get him and Jalen Green, huge. Now, of course, the Houston Rockets look forward to hopefully more development from Jalen Green, but seeing this much from Alperen Sengun is definitely a pretty great constellation, Bryce.
Yeah. Just check it right now. Right outside the lottery, the number 16th overall
Mm,
pick. So
yeah,
getting him and Jalen Green, both like cornerstone pieces for your future,
yeah.
just absolutely draft masterclass for the Houston Rockets there. And now that they got the culture changes there and Fred VanVleet and Dylan Brooks, you're finally seeing to see structure in that Houston Rockets team. Pistons, you might want to take some notes over here because they were just in the playoffs with the with the James Harden led team like what 3-4 years ago. That doesn't seem so far away from now, and now they're already trending in that right path. They're 15-13. Did anyone think that the Rockets were going to be over 500 30 games to the season? Probably not. So a lot of things have changed. The Houston culture is changing over there. Shout out to Alperen Sengun. Yeah, my breakout player for 2023. All right, Jay. Moving on to the next yearbook-ish sort of reward. Who are you giving your highest honors to? Now, in high school and university, you're giving that to the people with the highest grades, but here we're just giving it to the best player in 2023. Jay, who do you have as your highest honors here?
Well, the highest honors to me is the guy that I feel like has been the best player in the NBA for the last 3 seasons. That's Nikola Jokic. The dude's a demon. The dude already leads the league in triple doubles this year. The dude has been playing out of his mind. Somehow the Nuggets have flown under the radar again with the
Yeah,
way they've been playing this year, probably because Jamal Murray has missed some time. But nonetheless, they just kind of continue to fire off. They're playing at a really high level, and Nikola Jokic keeps them afloat just off of the mere fact that he is the best player in the league. Now, don't get me wrong. In 2023, Joel Embiid has been kicking at his feet for a long time, probably
yes.
even before 2023. But I'm not budging off this hill that Nikola Jokic has been the best player in the league over the last few seasons, and that's why he deserves the highest honors, man. I don't think there's a better player in the league than him right now, and you can make an argument that I don't think he's going to get surpassed for a while unless somebody really goes off.
Yeah, man. And got the pleasure to see him last week. I'm gonna have that vlog up pretty soon of me watching the Denver Nuggets game. He just does things so effortlessly. It doesn't feel like he's like trying on the basketball court, but you could tell how meticulous he is with every movement he does. Seeing all those like passing lanes and everything, it's a true joy to see to see him do his craft live. But he's been doing it all season long. Yes, Embiid has won MVP this year. Yes, Embiid might also be like at the top of the race this year, depending on who you ask. But at the same time, Nikola Jokic getting that Finals MVP and NBA championship, I mean, with him being the focal point of that team, kind of just shows you what a lot of people already knew, that is that he's a winning basketball player. And when he is like healthy and he's able to stay on the floor with a healthy supporting cast, he's good, man. The Nuggets are going to be continuous as long as you have their core guys available. And Nikola Jokic is going to be putting up near triple double numbers every single year. So yeah, I think for both of us here, easy answer, especially for someone who was defending him and being MVP last year as well. We're gonna go with Nikola Jokic with the highest honors. All right, Jay. We talked about some good ones here. We got to talk about the guy who's the butt of every joke. Who's the guy who's trying to like really act up in class. Jay, who has been the NBA's class clown this year?
The NBA's class clown is the idiot that's still on the NBA's class clown is the idiot that's still on suspension because he can't keep his hands to himself. That's Draymond Green. This dude has ruled 2023 with an iron fist, quite literally. This man
Yeah.
can't seem to avoid hitting people. This man can't seem to avoid putting people in chokeholds. This man can't avoid saying the most outlandish things in post-game interviews. And I think that he is believed for quite some time that he is a bit bigger than he actually is overall when it comes to the landscape of the NBA. And we understand, I'm talking about Draymond Green, by the way, if I haven't
Yes.
already kind of thrown that out. But like, this is one of those guys that I feel like has just been so caught up in the hype of the success of his team. And he's not some bench warmer that just happened to be a part of some of the greatest runs in NBA history. He's definitely a very important factor to them winning those championships. But I think that Draymond Green has officially stepped into that lane of almost getting too big for his britches. And I feel like it's honestly become comical to watch him on a season-to-season basis. But 2023, we literally saw a self-implosion across the board
Yes.
for this guy. And his self-implosion could arguably end up becoming detrimental and maybe even detonating the Warriors. Now they're playing relatively well right now in his absence, but
Yeah.
I think that's more indicative of them having the weight off their shoulders to now just play good basketball than it is, oh, they're just
Yeah.
finally clicking. I think that Draymond Green has been quite the character for the last year. And I think that this suspension right now is just kind of one of those repercussions finally biting him in the butt.
Yeah. And what hurts Draymond Green? I mean, we talked about the suspension and everything, but the thing was, I mean, this was like there was like different players in the league that had like moments throughout the year where they can like have like class cloud honors. If you think about early in the year, John Moran with the whole flipping of the gun on like Instagram Live and everything, that was kind of the main topic of conversation. Him getting himself suspended 25 games. At
Yeah.
that point, you can maybe look at he was a class clown. You can look at someone like Dylan Brooks, who maybe didn't do stuff off the court, but was talking his shit on the court like all the time, being like making his presence known in the media. You could say that him, trying to poke the bear at LeBron James and end up like biting him in the butt. He could have been the class clown at some point in the year. But when you look at those two guys, like they're already on the redemption arc. Dylan Brooks moving to the Houston Rockets, helping change that culture over there, making them a winning team. He's already like, turning some of his haters into fans. I hate to admit it, but that's what he's doing right now so far this season. John Moran comes back from injury, already doubles the amount of wins he did of the Detroit Pistons. He is already making an immediate impact, and he's still a damn good basketball player. But you cannot move out Draymond Green is because this has been happening since years ago. Then you have the incident with Sabonis in the playoffs, and then he
Yeah.
goes on to chokehold Rudy Gobert, and then he goes on to swing on Yusuf Nurkic. I mean, this man just hates European bigs. This man is like this man is like swinging at everything, and like it. What I don't realize is just like what people like, and especially like when fans look at Draymond Green, it's like, where's the improvement in his mental? Like,
Right.
there's something called like you get wiser with age. You get more. You get better with age. You get more wiser. Where is this with Draymond Green? I always remember that quote of him saying, "Now that I have a kid, I can't be showing this side of me on the basketball court. I want to be a good role model for my kid." This guy's been getting worse. I wonder what his kid thinks about all this. I wonder what his kid thinks about all this. But yeah, I think with all the stuff that's been going on, the other guys who are in contention are already, trying to remove that veil of being the class clown, while Draymond Green just continues to do it year in, year out.
Yeah. Draymond is just one of those ones, man. Like you said, there's a handful of people that definitely can be really good candidates for it. But I think that Draymond Green is just kind of in a tier of his own right now.
He is 100%. I think he is the clear winner for class clown here. All right, next one. Gonna take it off the court a little bit. We've had the NBA is more, you know, social media centered than ever. It's becoming more of a topic of conversation around just mainstream media nowadays too. So Jay, I'm gonna throw this over to you. What has been the viral moment / meme of the year in terms of the NBA?
I think any of the incidents relating to Draymond Green obviously could be at the top of this list, but because we already named Draymond, I'm not gonna do that. I'm actually gonna go back to the last season's postseason, and the meme of the year to me. This is just me personally. I really enjoyed this was when Dylan Brooks and the Memphis Grizzlies went up against the Los Angeles Lakers in the postseason. Dylan Brooks said that he was not going to respect LeBron James until he gave him 40. And LeBron James proceeded to drop 20 and 20 on him en route en route to the Los Angeles Lakers dismantling the Memphis Grizzlies. And actually, you can make a weird argument that LeBron James, LeBron told the Memphis Grizzlies. Because after that series, the Memphis Grizzlies haven't been the same. The John Morant incident began. Dylan Brooks moved on. Obviously, he had his own issues in the offseason. Obviously, he's on a redemption arc right now, but he's no longer on the team. We can make an argument that the Marcus Smart trade has not played out very well so far this season, and actually he's injured at the moment as well.
He just came back yesterday. He just came back.
So yeah, but he's missed significant time. Steven Adams and Brandon Clark are missing the entire season. Like LeBron James responded to a Dylan Brooks threat, so to speak, with the poking the bear kind of montage that was going on throughout that series. And it ended up in a way, I mean, not necessarily ending the Memphis Grizzlies, but it completely changed the trajectory of the Memphis Grizzlies coming off of what many should have still viewed as a really successful season last year.
Yeah, I mean, you went with Dylan Brooks. You literally could have just gone with the entire Grizzlies team in general as like the biggest review of the year. Need I remind you, John Morant said earlier this year, I'm fine in the West.
Bro, I'm finding the West is its own thing. Heck yeah. Heck yeah. I'm finding the West is definitely its own thing. That's freaking legendary to this day.
That is so legendary. You got there's a parade inside my city. Yeah, all that stuff that's going went on with the Memphis Grizzlies. That entire team was basically a huge meme, especially for last season, man.
Yeah,
the Dylan Brooks stuff, him like calling out everyone. Even going into this year, I know he's having a good year. Do you see the clips of this man just standing on his side of the court and just staring at the other team?
Dude, you can tell that he's really enjoying himself, and I'm glad to see that he's playing high-level basketball. Him coming off of that run with Team Canada during FIBA, I think that was really big for him, and it's really built up his confidence. And a lot of people were worried that him going to the Houston Rockets might have ended up being a net negative, because although he brings a veteran presence and he brings a certain level of grit that they needed, the worry was, is his shot chucking mentality going to be something that actually ends up setting back the development of guys like Jalen Green, Şengün, Jabari Smith? But instead, he's actually come in and fit very seamlessly on this team as a guy that comes in, shoots threes at a high level, plays very good defense, and just provides a lot of energy for that team. And it's been good to see. It's been good to watch the redemption arc of Dylan Brooks, but nonetheless, he was arguably one of the funniest players to watch last season, because you also have to pair not just the quote unquote empty threats, but remember the pregame dance routine that went viral on TikTok through Dylan Brooks that took over the internet. Like, Dylan Brooks definitely was a meme runner of his own, but like you said, the Memphis Grizzlies had TikTok on lock all of 2023.
100%. They're getting back there, they're getting back their respect now. John Morant's back. Sure, they had a tough start to the year, but they're finally getting the respect again. But yeah, the Grizzlies, I think at this point, and this is why they brought in people like Derrick Rose and Marcus Smart, it was kind of too much of, let the young guys run this team and let them like take the personality of the entire roster. And it's kind of like, it kind of bit them in the butt a couple of times. Now you got some veteran guys in that locker room teaching them how to do things the right way. You mix in with the talent they already had, maybe things actually do turn around. So we'll see what happens with the Grizzlies. But man, they provided us with some fantastic content throughout this entire year. Love the Memphis Grizzlies for that. They're definitely a good candidate for meme of the year / viral moment. For myself, man, honestly, just any especially with this year, especially with the championship with the Nuggets, just give me like off the court Nikola Jokic as like the biggest meme of the year. You could see the press conferences, especially during the NBA finals, where like whenever he talks about the game of basketball, he always feels like it's like a 9-to-5 job for him. He was talking about how, like, I don't know if you remember this from a couple months ago. He was like saying how, I know what questions you're gonna ask. Yeah, Julian Strawther had a really good game. I just wish he attacked the ball more. He predicted everyone's questions. There was him talking about how he didn't like last season was his least favorite season because he didn't get to go back home earlier. All the videos with him back in Serbia with the horses, him bringing Aaron Gordon over to Serbia and having all those viral moments over there. I'll just say that my meme of the year / viral moment is just off the court Nikola Jokic, because this man is just already a fantastic basketball player, but he seems like just an absolute fun person in real life. You have like the clip with him and Joe Murray doing a quiz challenge and him talking about Furbies and everything. I'm just saying just Nikola Jokic in general has become like a great meme this year, and it's funny how it has become the best player in the league as well.
Yeah, Nikola Jokic adding a little bit more personality to himself has definitely been really enjoyable to watch. The horses thing has become one of the things that I think has been most intriguing because it almost seems like he's just as intelligent talking about horse racing and things of that nature as he is on the game of basketball, which almost seems impossible. But you can tell that he gets almost oddly more joy from that. But Nikola
Yeah.
Jokic definitely adding more personality has been huge. Honorable mention, the Jimmy Butler hairstyles has to be in there somewhere.
Oh,
Come
emo
on,
Jimmy,
man.
man.
Dreadhead Jimmy at the beginning of last season? Like, come on, man.
Yeah.
Like,
Honestly, at this point, like, have you seen like Jimmy Butler's been like patenting like everything, like anything that has to do with Jimmy Butler, he's like getting like the license to it. Whether it's Big Face Coffee, whether it's emo Jimmy Butler, this guy is getting freaking like patents everywhere. Like,
yeah.
if you talk about him, he wants to make money off of it.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Jimmy's in a different headspace, man. That dude, he's built different, man. He's had 2 straight media days where he has made picture day quite a spectacle. So
A hundred
yeah,
percent.
Jimmy Butler hair day in 2023 has been something else.
Yeah. But one last thing before we move on to the next one, my favorite Nikola Jokic moment, just basically the entire year, was him after winning the championship saying, "Oh, when's the parade? When's the parade? Oh, it's on Monday." Then he had like the worst, like the most disappointed look on his face because he has to stay in Denver for another 3 days. But then afterwards, after the parade, he's like, I talked about how I don't want to be in the parade, but I want to be at the parade, man. This has been so much fun. Like, Jokic has been a joy. The Grizzlies is a good choice too, and Jimmy, man, yeah, Jimmy at media day. Hopefully, he continues to do this for the rest of his career. It's a good thing to have for the league, and it's just a good talking point. And I love seeing ESPN graphics whenever they come up because they just can't afford it. They just can't
You
afford having
know
a
they
picture of
hate
it.
doing it, man. You know they hate using it.
Imagine you're there and then you're like, okay, we don't want to use this picture. What did he have last year? Oh, he had that stupid head, the stupid dreads. Yeah, you know what? Might as well just stick with this one over here. But yeah, those are our meme of the year options. All right, back on the basketball court. We've had a ton of classic games this year, some last year as well. But Jay, what has been your game of the year? This could be playoffs. This could be regular season. It could be, something from last season in 2023, this season as well. What is your 2023 game of the year?
Well, in 2023, the team that I told everybody to watch out for, and I was banging the table for basically all offseason coming into the year, was the Sacramento Kings. That was my team last year. That was going to be the
Yeah.
breakout team. This year, it's the Orlando Magic. So far, so good. But last season, the Sacramento Kings was the team that I was big up and that I thought was going to make a really big step in the right direction. Well, the day was February 24th, 2023, and they went up against the LA Clippers, and I think this was the real arrival of the Sacramento Kings in terms of teams really starting to consider them as a real threat. And don't get me wrong, they were already one of the most high octane, high flying offenses in the NBA. But this game in particular was insane. This was a multi overtime game that ended up going all the way up to 176 points, where the Kings won 176 to 175. Malik Monk had a freaking day with 45 points on the night, alongside his former Kentucky teammate De'Aaron Fox, who had 42 points in the game. This game was one of the most like high octane offensive based basketball games we'll ever see in NBA history. And like I said, I think it was the arrival of the Sacramento Kings as being back as a well respected, competent basketball team, right? They went up against one of the better teams in the Western Conference, a team that did have, like, let's not get it twisted. This is a team that did have Kawhi Leonard. They did have Paul George. They did have Russell Westbrook on the team. And they were able to outgun them. They were able to go against two of the best two-way wings in the league and outscore them. And it was a joy to watch. It was a joy to watch. It was one of the better games of the entire year, and I'm putting it at the top of my list because I think that's the game that helped propel them into then later finishing the year as a top 3 seed in the Western Conference.
100%. This was in terms of like most talked about games. This is the second highest scoring game since 1980. This is like combined 351 points. You talked about those two guys. Freaking Kawhi Leonard had a 44-point game. Paul George had a 34-point game. And people forget this was Russell Westbrook's first game with the Clippers,
Yeah,
which is
yeah.
absolutely hilarious. He had like 17 points, 14 assists. He was doing this thing as well, but 176 to 175. It's really hard to beat that. It's the second highest scoring game in NBA history. You love to see that type of thing. And yeah, this game was like, if you look at the highlights, I definitely tell you to watch it, because it's hard to choose the highlights here. I swear, for this game in particular, I remember seeing the highlights afterwards. They started the highlight package at the third quarter. Not even lying. They started
Yeah.
the highlight package in the third quarter just so they can get all of the action from that quarter to fourth quarter and overtime. It was a crazy game. And 176 to 175, no defense being played, but you love for people who love to watch offense. Yeah, this is the game for you. That was near the top of my list, and I told you before this, I had two games in mind. That was definitely one of them, so I'm glad I could talk about this one. Let's talk about the conference finals. Game 4, Denver Nuggets taking on the Los Angeles Lakers. And this was the game where we thought, oh my goodness, the Nuggets are literally like, this might be the best team in the league. They
Yeah.
swept them in this game. And this was a game where the Lakers did struggle for most of the series. They did end up getting swept. They could not figure out this Denver Nuggets team. But in this game, it felt like there was something there. There was a chance for the Lakers to win this game. They had a good control of this one, but man, that fourth quarter came around, and it was the freaking Nikola Jokic show. He finished off the game 30 points, 14 rebounds, 13 assists, and he gave us the iconic moment where Anthony Davis was all over him at the 3-point line, playing some of the best defense in the league, and hit the freaking driveway dad fadeaway from the 3-point line, and then everyone's like, yeah. If you didn't know already, Nikola Jokic is the best player in basketball.
Yeah.
And just watching that play alone and seeing everyone's reactions on the court is absolutely gold. Anthony Davis is like, what am I supposed to do with this guy? Everyone is like, he did everything he could, and they couldn't stop Jokic and the Nuggets. Look, man, the Lakers thought they've kind of figured something out, at least for that one game, but the Nuggets showed why last year, when they're healthy, they are one of the top teams in the league. You also had a 25-point game from Murray here, 22 from Aaron Gordon. LeBron did his damn best with the 40-point performance, 10 rebounds, 9 assists, but it wasn't enough to stop Nikola Jokic and the Denver Nuggets, which this game would eventually lead them to the 4-1 series win against the Heat in the finals. But, man, that was the game where you're like, yeah, Nikola Jokic, this guy is the best player in the league, and there should be no doubt about it.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing about that game too is a lot of people go back to that series and say, well, the Lakers were the most competitive team against the Denver Nuggets, despite the fact that it was sweep. I think you can make an argument for that. I think you can also look at that series against the Timberwolves and say that might have actually been a much more competitive series. Depends on where you come from. But I think that overall, the most important thing to me, when you look back at last season for the Denver Nuggets, is just that they finally got over the hump and proved that they, like you said before, and have the best starting five in the NBA. That cohesion that they've developed over the last couple of seasons, it's finally paid dividends, and it was able to propel them to being able to get to the championship. And we kind of said it, like, the minute it was solidified that Miami was the team that made the finals, we all kind of like clapped in unison, like, okay, shout out to the Denver Nuggets. You guys are definitely going to be raising the Larry O'Brien at the end of this season. Like, it seemed like a done deal because it looked like after going through a gauntlet in the Western Conference and handling it relatively with ease, to be honest, drawing the Miami Heat in the NBA Finals seemed like the cakewalk they earned after the grueling portion of the season. I think the most hilarious part is, TV, let's go back to how we went throughout that series, right? Not just the series by itself, but that entire postseason. Me and you had debate after debate asking ourselves, are we looking at the best team in the NBA that's set to win the championship and we just don't want to admit it yet? This is the question we were asking on the podcast. And it seemed like series after series, they kept proving to us, yeah, we are. And we had to continue to kind of either look past it or buy into the hype. And by the time they reached the finals, there was no other way but up for us to go when it came to leaning into the hype. And they were able to finish the job. But obviously that Lakers series was a big story for their championship run last year. And like you said, game 4 was the nail in the coffin that they needed to prove to the rest of the Western Conference, like, yo, it's going to take a lot to dethrone us out here.
Yeah, I remember those conversations because we wanted to admit it. We wanted to say that the Nuggets are the best team in the league, but there's always like other teams kind of like pulling us towards them. Whether it was the Phoenix Suns, we're like, they went 2-0 up on the Nuggets and everything. Like, they still got KD and Book. They could be the best team. The Lakers are finally putting things together. The Warriors were the defending champions. There's so many teams pulling us in different directions, but the Denver Nuggets were right in front of us, just dominating each of those teams one by one, and they were able to pull out the win. That game kind of showed to everyone to the world, yeah, the Nuggets are the best team in the West, and we really should have. They've showed us all the signs. They literally did show us all the signs that they were, and they finally were able to pull it all together and win themselves a championship. And that game was probably the marquee game if you really do think about it. Like I mentioned, the Lakers were up by like 20 something at some point during this game. The Nuggets went on a freaking outscored them by 20 points in that third quarter, 36-16, in order to come all the way back. So yeah, very good game. Is people finally got to like know Jokic for the best player in the world that he is, and I'm just glad to be able to cover to watch that game and just see how good the Nuggets were able to be and en route to winning their championship. All right, Jay, final prompt for the 2023 year in review. Who is or which team / which player is Mr. Peaked in high school? Now, the reason that I did this way is this prompt has to do with what player or team have we seen the best of, and we're not going to see anything better than that. It's a team that we saw in 2023, a team that maybe got hyped, maybe a team that went further than you thought, but this is like the peak of them, and then we're not going to get anything better than that. Jay, who is that player or team for you?
I think the player that I have to go with, and I hate to pick on him because he's currently out due to injury and we're not really sure what's up with him moving forward, but the guy that I think is just Mr. Peaked in high school is Evan Mobley. And I hate to say that because he's only 3 years into his career, but 15 points in his rookie season, 16.2 points in last year, 16 points this year, 8 rebounds in his rookie season, 9 rebounds last year, 10.5 rebounds this year. Blocks, 1.7 during his rookie year, 1.5 last year, 1.7 this year. You go to the shooting splits, he's having one of the best years so far as a free throw shooter at 76% after coming off of 67 the year before, but barely taking any threes, shooting 25% or less on those. He went up from 55.4% from the field last year to 57, hovering around exactly 12 shots a game all 3 seasons that he's been in the NBA. Like, I think that Evan Mobley is just exactly who he is. He's going to be a guy that's going to constantly be top 3 in the defensive player of the year conversation, but he's not going to take threes. I don't think he's going to open up more aggressive as a passer or as a driver. I don't think he's going to become more dangerous as an offensive threat. I don't think you can increase his volume as an on-ball guy. I think he's just going to be a guy that's a low volume power forward / center that is one of the best defensive players in the league, but doesn't really give you much more upside than that. I think a lot of us were very keen to lean on that Chris Bosh comparison, and the reality is just that's not him. Like, he is more Rudy Gobert with bag than he is Chris Bosh with the versatility that Chris Bosh brought to the league. Like, and there's nothing wrong with that, but I just think that I hate to say that he peaked, but I think this is just him. Is a very productive player, but I think that is all he's going to be unless he proves me wrong somehow.
Interesting. I feel like Evan Mobley, the defensive thing is there. Like the defensive impact, the capabilities he's shown that to this rookie season. He's going to be all defense for 10 straight years at some point. The only thing is will he get the opportunities to go on the offensive end, or is that even part of his game? I don't think that the offense that we've been waiting on for so long with Evan Mobley, in comparison to the guys he had in the pre-draft process, a la Chris Bosh, a la a Tim Duncan, it's just not really gonna come, and it's definitely not gonna come on the Cleveland Cavaliers when you have players like DG, Karis LeVert, Donovan Mitchell, all those guys taking shot attempts away from him. So, yeah, Evan Mobley, he's going to be a damn good player. And I think he's still going to be like a multi-time all-star. It's just that offensive production that people are waiting to see the jump of might not come. And I think that people are slowly but surely coming around to that. But again, he's still super young. Who knows? But he has, same thing as you, he hasn't proven to me otherwise since his rookie season that he could be anything more offensively than he is right now. He hasn't shown me flashes of what he's able to do more offensively. And, that's fine as an NBA player. You can go, be a multiple time like all-star player who with a lot of all defensive teams being known as one of the best defensive players in the league. But maybe he's not the generational type player that we once thought he was going to be. That's it. All right, for myself, Mr. Peaked in high school. I hate to say this, man. The Boston Celtics might have peaked already, and I don't think we. There's just like certain things with this Boston Celtics team. I just don't see them being championship, level, like a championship, like able to win a championship. And it's more of the fact that they, even with like this change in head coach, this change in players and everything, they will always live and die by the three. And most of the time, it is a joy to watch because they have the players to play that type of style. But when they're off, they are off. And to be able to rely on that for 82 games in the season throughout the entire playoffs, when we've seen them crumble under the pressure of either big games during the regular season or in like deep playoff moments, the Boston Celtics have shown us time and time again that that they have just not been able to deliver when it's time. And you could point to the star player, Jason Tatum, who had had rough ends to the playoffs these last couple of years. You can look to Jaylen Brown. You can even look to Joe Mazzulla, who didn't really change much of the game plan last year, which maybe resulted in them not even being able to compete for the championship. But at the same time, I mean, this Boston Celtics team, yes, they're number one in the league. Yes, they're continuing to, show that they're like a great offense. They're still good defensively. But at the core of their system is them trying to attempt a lot of threes. And if that doesn't go down, it really looks tough on the offensive end for them. I think that this is going to come and bite them in the butt again. And unless they have a complete overhaul in that sort of mentality, and that's not going to happen with the Double J's leading the charge, I don't know if they're going to be able to win a championship. I think them peaking at a conference finals loss is just where we're going to go with the Boston Celtics. I just don't think they have the championship DNA that they need to move forward.
I mean, they do come off as the kind of team where like they come off as the kind of team where it seems like no matter what they do, it will never be enough, right? Like it does seem like one of those things where they might always bump their heads on the conference finals or the NBA finals, but never be able to get over the hump. But I guess my only argument against it is that this is probably the most risk the most risk that the Boston Celtics organization has been willing to make in the Jason Tatum era, with going after a guy like Kristaps Porzingis, going after Drew Holiday, holding on to Derek White and believing in Derek White in a way that made them feel comfortable with being able to let Grant Williams walk to go to Dallas. Like, this is the biggest swing season for them, and I think that a lot of what they went out and acquired, they've gotten good return on investment for. And I mean, if you look at their top six alone, Jason Tatum, Drew Holiday, Jaylen Brown, Derek White, Kristaps Porzingis, that main group right there alone, actually with that main five right there alone, I mean, if Denver's the best starting five in the NBA, like, is Boston number two? Like, you know what I mean? So
yeah,
I can see why you say that they might be the peaked in high school team, because it always feels like they're always on the verge, but something happens. But I think this is the biggest change we've seen from this organization in quite a long time, and that's why I think they might actually be different than teams in years past.
We'll have to wait and see. But even like in these, like, I think is like, I forgot which game 100% what it was, but I just look at this Boston Celtics team and I like watch that game. And it just reminded me so much of those teams that still like fumbled under the pressure. I think it was against the Golden State Warriors. It was against the Golden State Warriors. I think it was like last week or something where they had the opportunity in their hands, but when it came down to it, and it came to like clutch shooting and being able to kind of develop like offense when the game is close, I just don't trust that team whatsoever because I know that they're not going to defer away from the system. And when Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown are in chuck mode and it's not going, it looks ugly for the Boston Celtics. And the thing is, they'll hit the shots most of the time, but when they don't, it gets ugly. And I think it just allows teams like the Golden State Warriors to take advantage, even though they're not as good as they once were. If you try to do that stuff with the Milwaukee Bucks nowadays, with the Denver Nuggets, I just don't think it's going to end well. So unless it's, I mean, it might be different this year come playoff time, but the Celtics team still gives me that kind of like visualization that it's just going to happen again. And unless they like show me otherwise, I'm going to have that mentality.
I can't blame you.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, those are our 2023 year in review. For any of those problems, let us know what answer would you have instead, or like what other like topic categories that you had in mind. All right, we're going to move on to the final two topics of the show, and we're going to have the NBA draft and the quiz. And for this NBA draft, we're going to do something a little bit different. So, it's not going to be serpentine style. It's just going to be it's going to be just us going back and forth. But what we have in front of us are random number generators. And in these random number generators, we have numbers from 1 to 35. We're going to generate a random number, and the other player is going to have to either think on the top of their mind or do their very best to think of someone by any means to try and fulfill the player that matches the number. So, for example, if I generate a number and I put 23, Jay can go with Michael Jordan, LeBron James. And, that could be pretty easy. But if Jay rolls like a number 14, like we mentioned before, you might have to scramble like, who's number 14? Then you're like, oh, maybe it's Tyler Hero's a 14. Brandon Ingram's number 14. So it's some of these numbers you're gonna have to dig deep into the vault for, but some of these are gonna be a lot easier. And then we're gonna try and like go back and forth until we have complete teams. Jay, how do you feel about this draft?
Yeah, man, this was a really unique draft concept. I think this is something that we could actually do in a lot of different variations, and I think that you could get a lot of wacky teams. I think the funniest part is going to be if you get a number that's not super common, will you get a good player out of it? That's going to be the most interesting part of all of this.
100%. Also, if you're not able to get a player in the 10 seconds allocated, the other drafter gets to choose a player for you. So they get to go on Basketball Reference. They get to check any of these players, and they're going to be able to put one of them on your team. So, Jay, you got the first pick. I'm going to generate a random number for you and start with the timer. Let's see what you got. Okay. And just to mention, it's between 1 to 35. Jay, give me a player in 10 seconds with the number 28.
28? Oh my gosh. Give me my boy Aaron Aflalo from Once Upon a Time.
Aaron Aflalo. Interesting. I didn't even know. I mean, I didn't know that was his number. Yeah.
I think that was
Aaron
his Nuggets.
Aflalo.
I think that was his Nuggets number.
Oh no, that was his Detroit number. So you're getting
It was
Detroit
the
Pistons.
Detroit one.
Aflalo.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
I guess Detroit Pistons Aaron Aflalo is joining your team to start with. All right. Jay, throw it over to me. Let's see what we got.
All right, man. Let me see. Generate. All right, TV. Dang. give me a player with the number 15.
Number 15. We talked about this man the entire episode. Give me the best player of 2023, Nikola Jokic.
That's brutal, bro.
Gotta add it to the team. Oh, that couldn't have been much of a better start. So I'm adding Nikola Jokic to my lineup. All right, let's move on to your next pick. You got Piston Aaron Aflalo. Let's see who's joining your team over here. Okay, this one should be a lot easier. Jay, give me someone who wore the number 13.
13? Oh, I gotta get James Harden.
I was gonna say you got one of the best guards of all time, James Harden. That's definitely like Houston James Harden as well. So you get to have that version on your team. What a freaking backcourt! Rookie Aaron Aflalo and James Harden manning that backcourt. Pretty damn good. All right, to pair him Nikola Jokic, who you got for me?
All right. Oh my God, TV's getting all the layups. All right, TV, give me a player that wore the number 1.
Number one. Okay. I
That's
got. Oh my goodness. With. I'm gonna go Devin Booker, man. I'm gonna go Curry. I'm gonna stick Curry, and I'm gonna go Devin Booker to man my shooting guard position to match up with James Harden. So let me go with Devin Booker. There's a lot of options there, but I needed a guard, so let me go with D Book.
Oh my gosh, bro. I could have
I
gotten
like.
freaking Shangoon instead of Flalo. I did not realize that. That's
Oh,
brutal.
oh my god, I could have gone with Wemby. I just realized. Yeah, I could have gone Wemby as well to match up with Jokic. That's funny. Anthony Edwards. But yeah, I'm gonna go Devin Booker. Yeah, Lisa, that was a pretty good one. So yeah, I'll get Devin Booker added to my team as well. The real has been kind to me. I'll say that for sure. Jay, let's move on to your next one. And you got okay. This one should be okay for you.
Okay.
Jay, give me someone with the number 4.
With the number 4, that's like common and not common at the same time. Um, dang.
The 10 seconds are up.
Dang it, I was gonna
Jay,
say Scotty Barnes.
Scott, that's the first person that came to mind for me. I'm like, at least I don't know if Scotty's the best one, but I got
Yeah.
Scotty Barnes in my head. Also, I got another Raptor in my head. If that was gonna help you, you would have got Raptors Chris Bosh. That would have been
Oh
a good one.
yeah, that would have been wow, that would have been a good one too.
Raptors Chris Bosh. So, Jay, to add on to your team,
Oh my God.
I will give you
Give me somebody I don't
Evan
know.
Mobley. Evan Mobley was an option there too. I'm gonna go with someone that you know. I'm not gonna go with some completely random dude from like the 50s or whatever. But I will give you. There's a lot of good options here, but I'm gonna give you Amari Spellman to join your team.
Oh my God. This is the what, Utah version?
Golden State Warrior
That's
Amari
even
Spellman.
worse. That's the one that got 0 PT. Oh my gosh. Jesus. All right. Well,
Uh,
this team is
let's
about to
see.
get cooked. This team
Okay,
is
let's see
getting
what I
cooked.
got.
Your first few picks are already there. All right, TV. Get-
Let's see.
Oh my God.
This is good news for me.
TV, give me a player. Give me a player that wore the number 23.
The number
Oh my
23.
God.
I am so sorry, but I gotta take looking, Mr. the oldest player in the league. Give me LeBron
That's
James.
literally a joke, bro.
Oh
What?
my gosh.
This man
Yo, these
single-handedly has
three.
gotten the best numbers probably in NBA history.
I mean, I could honestly, if you gave me like a number 5 or a number 2, as well, that would have been a good one. But yeah, the fact I didn't even have to really think about these ones is a good sign. So let me add LeBron to this absolute juggernaut of a team already.
This is
Jay,
ridiculous.
over to you.
This is ridiculous.
Okay, Jay, you got lucky with this one. Give me someone with the number 30 to add
With
to
the
your
number
team.
30, please give me Curry. I don't care how small our team is. I don't care how small our team is. Give me Curry. I'm sorry.
Oh my
I
gosh,
need
you
to do
got the
what I
number
can.
30. Yeah, I'm trying to salvage something. At least you
Oh
got
my
Steph. At least you
gosh.
got Steph. Oh, okay. Steph is added to
Oh
your
Lord.
roster. Good to have a gimme right there. All right, Jay, hand me over to the next one.
I don't want to, TV. Your pulls are insane right now. All right, let's
Yeah,
see. Oh, okay. Give me a player who wore the number 25.
the 25.
Yeah.
20. Oh my gosh. I
Uh-oh.
swear.
Uh-oh,
Oh my
TV.
gosh.
Wait a minute.
Is it Miles Bridges? No, wait, no, is it Miles?
Ah, TV, your time is up, good sir. And the
Did
name you
Miles
were
Bridges
looking
wear
for is
25?
Mikal Bridges, TV.
No.
The
Oh
name you were
god.
looking for was Mikal Bridges.
No.
That was a toughie, man. That was a toughie, man.
So that means you get to choose my 25 for me.
Question is, who do I give you? I need to give you
I think
somebody that I know is like buns. I need you to get somebody that's buns. But I need you to get somebody that's buns but like exists.
exists.
I can't do you too greasy, but I gotta give you somebody that's like at least you know who this is.
Yeah. Hey,
TV.
look, man.
With
Yeah.
my pick for you, I will be giving you the guy who I don't even know if this man is. I don't even know where this man is anymore. He probably plays in the G League at this point. You are getting Mifandu Kamengili from the LA Clippers.
Oh my
Played
god.
center for the Clippers while they were buns.
Oh my gosh. How do you spell this man's name? I know who you're talking about. I just can't spell his name. Oh my god, I
MFION.
found him.
Yeah.
Oh, I found this man. Oh, I just always. Cavangeli, welcome to the team. You get to
Oh
be in the.
man, Trey Murphy the third could have been an answer here.
I'm looking at this list now.
Your boy
Mikel was the one
Jakob
I was
Pertl
thinking.
could have been an answer.
My brain froze. I was really thinking Mikel in my head,
Hmm.
but I said Miles. Oh, that's so
Ben
tough.
Simmons
Such a tough one.
also could have been an answer here. Philadelphia 76ers version.
Oh, that would have been a good one too. Freaking 76er Ben Simmons would have been a good one. All right, at least we both got. Okay, I'm gonna move on to the next one. All right, Jay, your final pick. Your final one. Jay. Okay, they did you nice with this last one. Give me someone with the number 10.
With the number 10. I think we're gonna go. Do we just go? Do we just go? Yeah, I
Three,
think we just go DeMar
two.
DeRozan, right? Yeah.
Okay, yeah, okay, good. You
Yeah.
got someone in there. You got DeMar DeRozan to cap it off. I would have wanted DeMar DeRozan just because he's my favorite player anyway, so it would have been good to add him to the team. But yeah, DeMar DeRozan, number 10,
Yeah.
to end off your team. All right, Jay.
Oh man. Well, no, our team's small as crap. I was gonna say, maybe I could have done Darius Garland here. No, dude, your team is tiny. My team is freaking. Oh man, whatever. All
Oh
right, TV,
man,
is this your last pick?
my last pick. Yes,
All right, with your last pick, give me. Oh, hilarious. Give me a player that wears the number 26.
26. Odd number. There's not a lot of players. Oh my god, I think we talked about this one. I don't know, Spencer Dinwiddie. I think I remember we talked about
Yeah,
it
I think we
before.
did talk about this
Before.
one, and Spencer Dinwiddie is on the list. And
Okay,
that's
good.
actually most of his career. So that was a really safe one. I'm looking through the picks
Okay.
now, and that actually might have been the best pick on the board.
Okay. No,
Full
I only remember
transparency,
that
I
because
think
we.
that might be your best pick because the only other answers really are Mitchell Robinson, maybe Aaron Neesmith, Kyle Korver for pretty much his entire career.
Okay, Corver would have been not
Kyle
too
Korver,
good.
Kyle Korver or Spencer Dinwiddie were basically your best answers. The next best guy after that is probably like Kent Bazemore. So
Oh
yeah.
gosh. Oh my god. I wouldn't have got that if we didn't talk about that beforehand. I would be like, who the heck is 26? And I'm glad I was like, wait, we had this conversation before the pod. Dinwiddie was the only one. I didn't care if he didn't fit the team, but you know what? Not too bad. Not a bad way to end it off. All right, here are two teams to go up against each other. The random number generator team. Jay, let's hear what you got.
This team is awful. This team is awful. All right. So for the player that wore number 28, I got Aaron Aflalo. For the player that got number 13, I got James Harden. For the player that wore number 4, TV's picked Omari Spellman for me because I was too slow. For 30, I easily picked Stephen Curry. And for number 10, I chose DeMar DeRozan.
That is a tiny team. It's Amari Spellman is your center.
This team
Amari
blows.
Spellman. Yo,
Jeez.
the front court of Amari Spellman and DeMar DeRozan is about to go crazy. This-
This is brutal,
okay,
dude.
here's my team. I don't think my team is as bad, but I got a couple of kind of dead plays at the end, but we run with it. Number 20, starting on one of my guards, I got my number 26, which is Spencer Dinwiddie. The player to wear number 1, he's also in my backcourt. I have Devin Booker. I got blessed with the 23s, so I got LeBron James as well. We got Kaba Jelly as Jay's pick for myself because I messed up and I didn't say Mikal Bridges and Miles Bridges. And then I had Nikola Jokic to round things up with my number 15. Jay, I think I already know your thoughts on your team.
Yeah, man, this ain't close, buddy. I ain't gonna lie to you. This one ain't close. This is
Hey,
bad.
DeMar DeRozan versus Cobb Jelly freaking front court matchup is gonna go crazy. But yeah, let us know down below which team is better. If you have any sort of ideas, any twists on this type of draft, let us know down below as well. Jay, we have reached the final segment of the show, and it is now time for the NBA quiz, the final NBA quiz of 2023. And Jay, I'm gonna tell you right now, I had 2 different quizzes in mind, and I didn't know what to go with. I'm gonna tell you the one that I'm not gonna go with now that I think about it. So, this past Christmas Day, Luka became the 6th youngest player to score 10,000 points. So I was gonna ask you to name me the top 10 youngest players to score 10K points in NBA history. And then I realized, Jay, as a Bulls fan, you didn't have that a great 2023. So maybe this one might put a smile on your face. Jay, I'm going to need you to name me the top 10 players with the most 20-point, 20 rebound games since the year 2000. Let's see if you're able to do this. Most 20-20 games since the year 2000.
What? Wait, like, oh man, it's just the year 2000?
So I was going to do all time, but then I was like, you know what? I could do all time, but it's this, I might be a little bit easier just because you can just go with, there's Moses Malone's, there's the Will Chamberlain's, that could be pretty easy. But this one at least let's go to something more modern. So let's see if you can get it. Top 10 guys.
Let's think. So Dwight Howard.
Dwight Howard's number 1. He had 51. He has 51 20-point, 20 rebound game.
Great start. We got some of the obvious out the way. What about Tim Duncan?
Tim Duncan, number 4 since the year 2000. He has 21 of them things.
Love that. Is Shaq here?
Shaq is tied for number 5 along with 2 other players. He has 16.
Love that. Is maybe like a Kevin Garnett here?
Number 3, he has 26.
Okay, we are cooking with fish grease right now, my boy. How about we get some ugly ones? Let's get the most dominant rebounder that does nothing else in human history. Let's get to my boy Andre Drummond, who just went demon mode the other day.
That's the reason why I did this quiz. He had a 25-point, 24 rebound performance yesterday as a recording of this video, and he is 2nd since the year 2000. He has 45.
Yeah, if there's one boy who could rebound, it is that man right there, boy. Let me tell you.
Yeah, that's the yearly prime Andre Drummond game that we get.
Man, oh man. Okay, so what about like Clippers DeAndre Jordan? I feel like his only existence was to rebound.
I think he was like the 4th or 5th guy off this list. I think he has like under 10, but the lowest you need to be on this list is 12.
Oh, okay, that's good to know.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to think of people who just rebounded well. I'm not gonna lie, because 20 points, like if you're a big time rebounder, a lot of those buckets come off of putbacks and stuff. So I'm just trying to think of people who like rebounded really well. So what about like Kevin Love has to be here, like Minnesota Kevin Love.
One of the guys tied for 5th along with Shaq. He has 16.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
So you're missing one guy who's tied for 5th as well. Then you're missing 8, 9, and 10.
Okay, gotta go back to the rebound demons. So like, give me like Rudy. Give me Rudy Gobert. He's not on the. Okay, so that's crazy. Yeah. What about? Clint Capella?
Not on this list.
DeMarcus Cousins?
DeMarcus Cousins, the last guy tied for 5th. He also had
there you go.
16 of them.
I have a very nasty pick, but for some reason he was like a demon for like a really weird stretch. How about like Hassan Whiteside?
Number 8 Hassan Whiteside. He has 13 20-20 games.
I don't know why, but for
I
some godforsaken reason, when that boy wasn't on Snapchat, he was a demon.
if this, I bet you 15 of those came in, like 10 of those came in the contract year. He must have gotten.
Yeah, that was 100%. I agree with that.
Yeah. By the way, according to I'm mentioning your previous guest, Capella was the second guy off with 11. DeAndre Jordan had 10, and Rudy Gobert had 9.
Dang it.
So you're missing number 9 and 10 only.
Does
You
Ben
got
Wallace
one.
count?
Ben
Nah, everything
Wallace,
he did
I
was
just
probably
don't think he scored.
pre-2000.
He doesn't. Yeah, no. He's not on this list, but I also just don't think he scores. I swear, like each of his years, he averaged like 7 points per game, but he like was like a mad rebounder.
True. Oh,
He got,
is Jokic here?
that's tough. He is the first guy off this list. He has 11.
Oh my God. Is Embiid here?
Embiid has not as much as you think. He has 7.
Oh my
Tied
Lord,
with
bro. This is
tied with tied with Al Jefferson. That's 7.
This should be illegal. Is Karl Anthony Towns here?
Karl Anthony Towns.
Thank
Here
the
number 9.
gods.
Number 9.
There we go.
Now you got one more player. You're missing number 10. You don't think of him really as like, maybe you think of him as a massive rebounder. He's definitely one of the shorter guys on this list, but he's like someone who is like retired over the last, I think in the last like 5 to 6 years, he retired like in like within that range. But he's like a bit more. He's kind of current.
You said he's one of the shorter players. Does he still at least play center?
Power forward, I will say.
Interesting. Okay. Power forward since 2000. One of the shorter guys, quote unquote, on the list.
Yeah, I don't think. Yeah, he and this list he must be the shortest guy. I'm gonna like fact check this. I would think so. Yeah, I think so. 6'9".
Power forward, recently retired.
This guy was definitely more of a demon on the rebounds, like in his earlier days, like maybe in like the early to mid 2000s. But this guy's like one of the more like, actually no, even like in his prime, he was still like one of the best rebounders. I can't even say that, but yeah, he was like one of the more dominant post players in like the early 2010s.
I really don't have anybody that I can think of that I didn't already name. I feel like I named everybody that's like OD.
He is one of the he was a part of one of the more popular teams that didn't make a finals appearance. Like this team like had like a good like a cool name to it, but he just didn't like he couldn't like get past the conference finals.
Chris Webber?
No, but kind of same sort of game / build, but like a lot less athletic. This guy's like a lump, man. This guy quote unquote will bully you down low.
Sean Kemp?
Nope. Since the year 2000, played a lot of his time in the Western Conference. 2-time All-Star.
I was giving Sean Kemp vibes, but then I can't. Dang, TV, I ain't gonna lie. I might end up having to tap out on this one, bro. I literally can't think of anybody else.
He was a member of the Grit and Grind Grizzlies.
Okay, so wait, Zach Randolph?
Zach Randolph squeezing it at the
What?
number 10 position with 12, 20, and 20 games.
I knew that dude was a beast offensively, but I did not know he was grabbing 20 boards.
To be honest, I didn't think he was like that crazy of a rebounder, but he had like 2 seasons where he averaged like 12 rebounds per game. So like,
were they as a member of the Grit and Grind Grizzlies, or was it with like the Trailblazers?
One of the years he averaged like 12 rebounds was with the Knicks.
Oh.
And then the other one was at the Grizzlies.
Wow.
One was at the Grizzlies.
Okay.
He was he was grabbing boards. And to be fair, as someone who's like 6'9", like fighting with like all those trees down there in like the mid to late 2000s, the fact that he was grabbing down 12 boards a game is crazy.
Yeah, I wouldn't have put Zebo down there as one of those guys. When you say grit and grind Grizzlies, I almost wanted to say Mark first, but I felt like
Mark wasn't really that much of a rebounder though.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Yeah, but yeah, Zebo was doing a lot of the dirty work down there. I bet you a lot of those games was just a bunch of just putbacks because Zebo was just like that. But yeah.
Yeah, true.
But yeah, those are the top 10 lists since the year 2000 for the most 2020 games. Let us know down below what other quizzes you want us to do. Jay, we have reached another end of another fantastic episode. What is your message to the Hit Your Free Throws fans to close out 2023?
Man, shout out to 2023, man. We've been trying to be consistent with the content as much as humanly possible. We have a lot planned for 2024. Much clearer heads going into 2024 as well, as we're going to be able to kind of plan out a lot more of the year moving forward. Me and TV have already kind of looked ahead to some more episode concepts going into the first month of 2024, which means that we have a lot to build on. I'm really excited for the rest of this NBA season, considering the fact that the in-season tournament, to me, I felt like was a real success. The road to the trade deadline is going to be super exciting. And then when we get past that, we're talking about the play-in tournament and the playoffs. I mean, basketball is only going to get more fun from here. And, yeah, man, I mean, even for me individually, 2024 is going to be very special in terms of taking this content seriously. I feel like for the longest time, I've kind of always said that I really want a strong year in NBA content, and then I do what I think is good, but I don't do what I think is best. I think 2024 is going to be a lot more of what I feel like is my best version of content between the Hit Your Free Throws podcast and beyond that. So, yeah, stay tuned for that, because I really feel like 2024 is going to be crazy for NBA basketball. And episodes like this are going to just be the start of us trying to really do some different stuff.
100%. Like you mentioned, my biggest resolution going to next year. And we got the content coming out consistently nowadays. But just to kind of get more engaged with the NBA regular season, you already see me doing kind of those like post-game reacts and everything. Be looking to see more of that. Be looking to see more of the vlogs and stuff. I'm going to be going to some more games going into New Year's, so that should be fun to document as well. But yeah, a lot of stuff heading into 2023. Again, we thank you for all your support throughout this past year. And we promise you this, that it's going to be better come 2024. And we have a lot of stuff lined up for you going forward. The playoffs, again, that stuff is going to go crazy once the playoffs come around as well. So, yeah, a lot of stuff to look forward to. We got the All-Star game around the corner. There's a lot of great topics we're going to be here, and you're going to join us on the route here with the Hit Your Free Throws pod. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. Remember to show all your love on our individual pages. Those are going to be found down below, the YouTube, the TikTok, the Instagram, all that stuff. Wherever you can find the Hit Your Free Throws podcast network, you can support us in any way possible. But yeah, thank you guys for watching or listening to this episode. Hope you have a fantastic New Year, spending time with your family, going with the countdown, and we're gonna have a great episode coming up, going into the New Year. But yeah, thank you guys for all your support. Thank you guys for watching. This is TV signing out. That's Jay. Take it easy, guys.
Peace.